Welcome to the breakdown. I'm your host, Diane Rembert, avid reader, award winning literary blogger, and the founder of Diamond's Literary World, which is my footprint in the literary industry. It is a wet day in May here in Jersey, and I've been catching up on a lot of reading. I hope that everyone is continuing to stay safe. I know that they're beginning to open up the country a little bit. Not too sure how I feel about that, but that's another story for another day. We are here today to talk about a new author to me, but one that I've heard so much about. I'm talking about none other than Nisa Santiago. The book we'll be talking about today is the first in the Baddest Chick series entitled Bad Apple. Okay, this story is about twin girls, Apple and Kola. Their mother Denise they lived in a project. Their mother Denise was an alcoholic, and she was really just concerned with, laying up with men, getting drunk, not too much caring about what goes on around her. So her 15-year-old daughters, what they start off at 15, but I don't know, it was a little confusing because at one point it said they were 15, but I know that throughout most of the book, these girls are 17 years old. Okay. So Apple, and these two twins are like night and day. Apple, I would say, is the more reserved one, whereas Kola was the Spitfire. However, they did have a little sister named Nichols, and we'll get into Nichols later. So, in this book, we find out that Apple, like I said, is naive to the streets, naive to things that go on. Kola, everybody, knows that she runs with a crew that is fearful. And so Apple, being the naive young lady that she is, didn't want to. She's tired of fighting with her sister for bathroom time, clothes. I mean, they argue about everything. Now, if you know anything about sibling rivalry, you know that siblings do. They argue about everything. I just didn't know the twins had it as bad as, like, say, my son and daughter. Oh my God, it was to the point where they couldn't even sit in the car side by side. That was the rule when my kids were growing up. So Apple wants to go to Summer Jam, which, if you're not familiar, Summer Jam, it's like a big concert held here in Jersey, and everybody, the latest rappers come out, they do their latest hits, and everybody who is somebody is seen at Summer Jam. I myself, it was never an interest for me, but that's another story again for another day. Okay. But she doesn't have money. She doesn't want to borrow clothes from her sister. So she ends up borrowing money from a loan shark. She now is indebted to this loan shark, not understanding that when you borrow money from a person of this caliber, you may not want to miss a payment. You may want to read the fine print to understand what all is involved with getting a loan from a loan shark. She did not do this. She just wanted to be fly to go to Summer Jam with her girls. Long story short, Apple cannot pay back this loan. Okay. And the loan shark is after her. I don't want to tell you the book. I really don't. If you have not read it, if you've been under a rock like me, I want you to go and pick up Bad Apple. I want you to pick up this series because this series is amazing. So she goes, she's dodging him, and what happens is, if a loan shark, the way the streets are run is, if they can't get to you, they'll get to somebody that you care about. And there was a death of a family member in this book. Again, I don't want to tell you, I want you to read it for yourself. But just know that it pitted the sisters against one another. Um, because Kola, she kept asking the sister, like, why is he roughing you up? Like, why is he after you? Like, do you owe him anything? Like, let me know, I will handle it. Apple kept denying it because she was embarrassed, didn't want her sister in her business, didn't want to hear her mouth. But again, looking back, if she would have just told her sister what the real deal was, they would not have lost this family member. So now they are pitted against each other. Now, Apple has always had a liking for a guy named Cross. And ironically, after the death of the family member Cross, he disappears for a while for something else. And she ends up befriending the enemy, if you will. And her sister ends up with the guy that she's always wanted. And again, they are pitted against one another. Throughout the book, once again, you see revenge, you see loan sharking, you see prostitution, you see sex parties, you see all kinds of things going on. It dealt with the alcohol addiction, it dealt with drug dealing. There was so much that was going on in this book, but I tell you what, it was a page turner. One that I did not want to put down. The only reason why I put this book down was because my eyes shut down on me. So much so, like, I'm already reading book 2. I'm anticipating where this series is going to go. Now, I will make a recommendation to you. Read this series in sequence. And there are 7 books. I just found out that the 7th book in this particular series was released not too long ago. I know that I might be a little late to the party, but I am definitely here to stay. I've heard so much about Nisa Santiago. But getting back to the story, so we have Kola, who the crew she was running with, some things happen, and now her and the guy she's with, they're like a Bonnie and Clyde in the streets. They are running the streets, and her sister is jealous. They can't stand one another. They've got into physical altercations a couple of times, and everybody just knows to just leave them alone. Don't let them go too far. But, twins will be twins, because at the end of the day, they love each other, but they hate each other, if that makes any sense to you. Again, if you know anything about sibling rivalry, you will know that this tunes in. It's right on time with sibling rivalry. And hopefully, I know in book 1, they didn't get it together. Something very tragic happens at the end. And that's why I said you need to have, the books readily available, because you're going to want to know, like, what happened after this particular thing happened, and how does the parties involved seek revenge. Because revenge is going to be sought, and it's not going to be cute. And just when you think that you know which twin is actually the villain, you really don't know. You really, really, really don't know. And that's what I love about this series. Like, one is stronger at 1 minute, where the other may be a little, I won't say weak, but not as strong. I'll use those words. And so It draws you in, and I love Nisa Santiago's style, the way that, they take you right to the streets of New York. They really do. The bodegas, the Chinese restaurants, the streets, the projects, the pissy hallways, the drug dealers, the drug addicts, the alcoholic mother, the flashy cars, the hot to trot little girls, the jewelry, the lifestyle. I loved it. I love this book by Nisa Santiago. Please go and pick up Bad Apple, book 1 in the Baddest Chick series. Stay tuned because you're going to hear so much more about this author. Hear from me. Until next time, I want to thank you guys for all of your support. I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel. Also for telling a friend, for sharing the video, and for just simply being you. I appreciate the comments that you leave for me. Your beautiful words mean everything. Until next time, happy reading and be blessed.